All right, we got 8-2, 23 to 27, and it's basically just Soh Cah Toa. And if you write that every single time, you're going to remember it. Okay? So when I look at tangent, right, I'm thinking Toa. So opposite over adjacent. So when I'm thinking D, I have to think opposite over adjacent. And just remember, this one will never change, so we might as well put it in red, right? This one is always the hypotenuse, right? So that doesn't change. Okay? Okay, man, have a seat. You're good. Alright, so then I just look at my opposite. Now it's in reference to the angle. So opposite is 15. And adjacent is 8. That's it. That's it. Say no more. Alright, black. F. I gotta think cosine. Okay. Cosine. Well, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. And we're thinking F. So that means I'm going from this angle. Right? From that angle. And from that angle, adjacent is 17, right? No.
No, it's the hypotenuse.
Yeah. 17 is adjacent, but that's the hypotenuse. So don't get tricked. Right? It's always the hypotenuse. So for the black, your adjacent now is this. Right? But your opposite, right, is 8. So adjacent is 15 and hypotenuse is 17. Okay? For the F. See how it depends on the angle that you're looking from. Okay? But it's still Soh Cah Toa. It's just Soh Cah Toa. It's easy. So here, it's from D again, so I can go back to purple. But in this case, it's sine. So that's opposite over hypotenuse. Well, opposite is, we decided was 15. And the hypotenuse doesn't change. It's 17. So, and look at this. Now this is something that's going to come up next year. I was just teaching this yesterday in Algebra 2. And I was like, hey you guys, you remember how the sine of the angle and the cosine of the other angle were the same? You remember seeing that? And you're like, no. Like just last week, when your midterm. Not, I don't know, whatever. I just do the math. So they didn't even notice the pattern. So I'm kind of planting that pattern in. I'm planting that pattern. Notice they're the same thing, but they're coming from different sides. It's coming from different angles. Okay? But they end up being the same. Okay? And we're going to learn about that trig. That part of the trig will be next year. Okay? Right? But for right now, we'll notice that, well, just think about it. If you're looking from this side, the adjacent becomes the opposite, right? And if it's, so sine and cosine are very, very related to each other. In fact, to give you a little heads up, on a graph, this is what sine looks like. Okay? It just keeps going on and on and on and on forever, both directions. Right? This is what cosine looks like. Right? And then, like I said, it goes on and on and on and on forever, right? So it just continues to go down and up, and this continues to go up and down, and then this continues to go down and up, and this continues to go down and up, right? So all that's happening here is that this is shifted over. You can call it shifted to the left, or you can call this shift. You can shift it a long ways from here over, right? Still be the same. So it's just shifted. It's that cosine and sine shifted. Okay? So these are all the answers when you plug in x and then you get a y, right? And this is what the graph looks like. Is this a function? Right? Is the x, can you do your vertical line check? It's still a function, right? It's not hitting twice. In other words, it's not doing this. If we were doing this, not a function, right? There are things that do this, but this isn't one of them. Okay? So, that's sine and cosine. Soh Cah Toa. Simple.
How do you graph them like